Welcome to Iraqi Dinar, your trusted source for the latest updates and breaking developments from the world of global finance and currency reform. Today's story is one that has shaken markets, sparked online frenzy, and sent shockwaves through investor circles worldwide. Reports are surfacing that have captured the attention of financial analysts and currency watchers everywhere. According to multiple sources, data has appeared on several banking and foreign exchange platforms showing the Iraqi dinar trading at a stunning 1-to-1 rate with the US dollar. This claim has spread like wildfire across financial communities, not only because of what it implies, but because it appears to have shown up across multiple independent systems, something that's far too coordinated to dismiss as a random error. What makes this so significant is that this isn't being dismissed as a simple glitch or brief technical mistake. In the fast-moving world of foreign exchange, small data errors do occur. Traders accidentally enter the wrong number, systems lag, or rates display incorrectly for a few seconds. But this time, the reports indicate that the 1.0 rate stayed live for several hours in multiple locations. That's an unusually long duration for a mistake in any banking system, and that persistence is what's driving this frenzy of analysis. Investors, economists, and dinar watchers are trying to understand whether this was an intentional internal test or the first public glimpse of Iraq's long-awaited revaluation. Adding to the intrigue, this wasn't just seen in one institution or one country. Sources suggest the rate appeared across different internal banking systems, including some used by major U.S. banks. That's what sets this situation apart from the usual online rumors or social media chatter. These are platforms that handle real international transactions, not speculative websites. When consistent numbers start showing up inside official banking environments, it naturally raises eyebrows. The fact that this same 1.0 value was reportedly visible across several independent systems adds credibility to the idea that something bigger might be happening behind the scenes. To understand why this is so historic, let's step back for a moment. The Iraqi dinar has spent decades trading at extremely low levels compared to the US dollar, often requiring over 1,300 or even 3,000 dinar to buy a single US dollar. For it to suddenly appear at a 1-to-1 exchange rate represents not just a minor change, it would be a complete revaluation of the currency. This would rewrite Iraq's entire position in global economics. If confirmed, it would mean Iraq's currency is now standing shoulder to shoulder with the dollar itself, something that was once considered nearly impossible. The implications of such a change would be enormous. A confirmed $1 dinar would instantly transform Iraq's economic standing. It would affect global trade, oil contracts, and international investments in a way that could reshape regional markets. For years, the dinar community, those who have held and believed in Iraq's long-term recovery, have been waiting for a moment like this. Many have speculated, analyzed, and stayed patient through countless rumors. Now this development feels like the first tangible sign that something real might finally be happening. What's fascinating is how this single reported leak has already started to influence perception. The Iraqi dinar, which has long been overlooked by mainstream traders, is suddenly being discussed by major financial analysts. News outlets, private investor groups, and currency observers are buzzing. Some experts believe this is evidence that Iraq's banking systems are being upgraded and synchronized with international standards. Others think it's a sign of pre-launch testing, a controlled preview before the official rollout of a new rate. Either way, the world is watching. Reports also suggest that employees at major U.S. banks like Chase and Wells Fargo were among the first to notice the rate changes in their internal systems. There were even claims that smaller regional banks connected to international wire transfer networks saw the same number displayed. That kind of widespread consistency suggests coordination, not coincidence. The rate appeared in some systems labeled as pending, test, or pre-activation, which adds another layer of intrigue. It could indicate that this was part of a structured internal rollout. And it's not limited to the United States. Similar observations reportedly surfaced in Europe, adding more fuel to the theory that this was a multi-region technical test rather than an isolated anomaly. The timing of this leak makes it even more suspicious, and possibly more meaningful. Iraq's central bank has been actively engaged in a massive modernization effort, upgrading its digital systems and bringing its national banking network in line with international standards. This includes implementing anti-money laundering controls, digital integration, and compliance with global financial regulations. These are exactly the kind of behind-the-scenes moves that usually happen right before a major monetary event. The appearance of the $1 rate during this period makes it seem less like a random glitch and more like a planned part of testing before public release. If we look at Iraq's financial calendar, the timing aligns perfectly with other major milestones. Iraq has been finalizing its 2025 federal budget, one that's reportedly based on higher oil revenues and a stronger national currency outlook. The country's leadership has also been working to implement the long-awaited hydrocarbon law, ensuring oil profits are distributed directly to the people. These efforts strengthen Iraq's economic stability and create the kind of foundation that could support a higher-valued currency. All these factors combine to create the perfect environment for a revaluation to occur. The hydrocarbon law itself is critical. By redistributing oil wealth directly to citizens, Iraq is not only strengthening its domestic economy, but also building public confidence. A stable, well-distributed revenue base is one of the key conditions for any major currency reform. This connection between Iraq's internal reforms and the rumored $1 rate has become a major talking point among analysts. Many believe the government's economic overhaul and the revaluation are two sides of the same coin, both designed to position Iraq as a sovereign, financially independent nation ready for global reintegration. Adding to this, Iraq has been making concrete moves toward joining the World Trade Organization. That's not just symbolic. It means Iraq is restructuring its regulations, financial policies, and transparency standards to meet international benchmarks. Countries don't join the WTO unless they're ready to operate on the global stage. For many, this progress reinforces the theory that Iraq's financial system is being prepared for a revalued, internationally recognized currency, and that the $1 rate might be an early indicator of what's coming. The investor community's reaction has been a mix of euphoria and caution. On one side, excitement is surging among long-term dinar holders who see this as the long-awaited breakthrough. Social media has exploded with screenshots and posts from individuals claiming to have seen the $1 rate firsthand. On the other hand, seasoned investors are urging restraint, reminding everyone that until the Central Bank of Iraq confirms it publicly, nothing is official. This balance of hope and skepticism is defining the tone of the conversation right now. Screenshots allegedly showing the $1 rate on internal banking systems have circulated widely online, fueling the fire. While some skeptics argue that these could be doctored, others believe the consistency across different banks makes them credible. The overall sentiment is that even if this was a test, the fact that such a rate appeared at all shows how close Iraq might be to activating a real revaluation. For many long-term holders, this is the most encouraging signal they've seen in years. The story has now extended beyond the dinar community. Global markets are taking notice. Traders who once ignored the Iraqi dinar are now re-examining their models. Some are recalculating exposure risks, while others are speculating on potential oil-related impacts. Because Iraq's economy is so closely tied to oil, a major revaluation could change how contracts are structured, how revenues are counted, and even how the global oil market prices Iraqi exports. This could ripple far beyond Iraq's borders. Neighboring countries are watching closely too. Nations like Turkey, Kuwait, and Vietnam, each with economic ties to Iraq, may need to reconsider their trade strategies. If Iraq suddenly revalues its currency, it could trigger regional adjustments, forcing others to recalibrate exchange policies. Some analysts even suggest this could mark the start of a regional financial reset, a coordinated wave of revaluations across several developing markets. Behind the scenes, experts are pointing out that banking systems operate under incredibly strict protocols. Rates aren't casually changed or entered into live systems without extensive review. That's why many believe the $1 rate wasn't a mistake. It likely appeared in controlled sandbox environments, systems where banks test new data before going live. If that's the case, then this might not have been a glitch at all, but rather a structured trial run to ensure everything works before an official announcement. The technical preparation for such a move would be enormous. Financial systems across Iraq and partner institutions abroad would need to synchronize, run simulations, and verify the data flow. If these internal tests are indeed happening, it means the infrastructure is nearly ready. That readiness is what gives weight to the theory that Iraq's central bank is in the final stages of executing its plan. A full-scale revaluation that's been years in the making. The Central Bank of Iraq has repeatedly emphasized its commitment to comprehensive monetary reform. Officials have spoken about modernizing the currency, strengthening regulatory frameworks, and ensuring compliance with global standards. The reported $1 leak aligns perfectly with that narrative. Analysts believe it's part of a deliberate sequence, a series of small, controlled steps leading up to one major reveal. In other words, what we're seeing could be the first visible sign of an orchestrated rollout designed to test reactions and system stability before the big moment. For dinar holders, the implications are massive. A confirmed revaluation to $1 would mean a life-changing shift in value for their holdings. However, experts are reminding everyone to stay grounded. Even if the rate appeared internally, it doesn't mean public exchanges are open yet. The rollout, if it happens, will likely be phased, starting with institutional systems, then expanding to retail banking and eventually the global forex market. Patience and verification are key right now. During this time, the most important advice remains simple. Stay alert, follow official channels, and avoid scams. The excitement surrounding these leaks has unfortunately also attracted opportunists who may try to exploit the situation. Only announcements directly from the Central Bank of Iraq or verified financial institutions should be trusted. Anything else could lead to costly mistakes. The fact that this single event has generated such massive global attention says everything about how significant it could be. Even if it was just a test, it shows that Iraq is finally at the center of the financial conversation again. The country's modernization, new policies, and synchronized upgrades are placing it squarely in the spotlight. And with that spotlight comes anticipation. The alignment of all these factors, the 2025 budget, the hydrocarbon law, WTO progress, digital banking upgrades, and now the rate leak paints a clear picture. Iraq's financial transformation is reaching its final stages. This looks less like coincidence and more like coordination, a series of methodical steps leading toward one major outcome. In conclusion, whether this $1 rate leak was an early test, an internal preview, or the beginning of a historic reveal, one thing is certain: the world is watching Iraq closer than ever before. For those who have followed this journey for years, this feels like the moment before the curtain finally rises. The signs are aligning, the systems are in place, and the anticipation has never been higher. Stay tuned, stay informed, and prepare. Because if these reports are any indication, the long-awaited revaluation of the Iraqi dinar might be closer than anyone ever imagined.